LearnVantage, the talent creators, we are on a very bold mission to reinvent how individuals learn in an AI-disrupted world, to empower institutions for an AI-driven future, and to transform enterprises for the age of intelligence. The AI economy will not be powered by technology or by talent alone. We all know that it will be both. The AI economy is very important. With that, we have decided to host two panel discussions for this interesting evening of today, and I'm really, really glad for all of you to have joined us today. The first discussion will be a very important and a very riveting discussion topic about powering institutions for an AI-driven future. And for that discussion, let me take the privilege of inviting the moderator, Deepika Kapoor. Deepika leads industry partnerships and outreach at ITES Sector Skill Council, NASSCOM, where she drives large-scale collaborations with industry, academia, government to build sustainable skilling ecosystems. With close to 20 years of experience spanning marketing, community building, and program strategy, she's played a key role in shaping national-level skilling initiatives and aligning industry needs with workforce readiness. Her work focuses on creating measurable impact at scale through partnerships and innovations. Welcome, Deepika. We're very happy to have you here today. Let me now take the privilege of inviting the panelist, Professor Alok Kumar Rai. Professor Alok Kumar Rai is a distinguished academician, administrator, and a management pioneer, currently serving as the director of Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, since July 30, 2025. Before joining IIM Calcutta, Professor Rai served as the Vice Chancellor of the University of Lucknow for 2 consecutive terms from 2019 to 2025, during which the university achieved unprecedented academic milestones. He has completed 3 major research projects funded by UGC and AICTE, supervised 9 doctoral dissertations, and holds 5 IPRs in the area of relationship management. He is also a reviewer and editorial board member of top-tier journals published by Elsevier, Sage, and Andersons. Professor Rai has authored 7 books, edited 5, and published over 75 research papers in index journals alongside numerous book chapters and popular writings in major media platforms such as Times of India, Outlook, First Spot, and Business Line. Professor Rai continues to inspire excellence as he leads IIM Calcutta with his unique approach of 5 I's: inclusion, innovation, internalization, and Indianness, building upon its rich legacy and positioning it as a global leader in management education. Can we have a round of applause for Professor Rai? Thank you so much. The next panelist, let me have the pleasure and privilege of inviting Anurag Bansal. Anurag Bansal is the Managing Director of Accenture LearnVantage India, where he leads strategy growth across Accenture's learning and skilling ecosystem in India, helping organizations and institutions reimagine and reinvent how they create future-ready talent and the scale of age of AI. Previously, as Chief Executive Officer of Talent Sprint, which is now a part of Accenture, he provided visionary leadership in scaling the businesses, deepening industry academia collaboration, and launching skills-first approach high-impact programs such as National AI Olympiad and AI Infinity that are preparing talent for real-world roles in the age of intelligence. With over 2 decades of leadership experience across organizations including Hughes Global Network, Ashok Leyland, Mahindra & Mahindra, and Career Launcher, Anurag brings a distinctive perspective on AI-led talent transformation and enterprise capability building through leadership, management, development for an AI-disrupted world. Thank you, Anurag. Let me now also have the privilege of inviting the next panelist, Abhinav Banerjee. Abhinav Banerjee heads the Education and Skills Charter for AWS India. He has been a part of the industry for close to 2 decades in driving technology-based transformation. Creating an AI-ready workforce is central to Viksit Bharat aspiration and requires deep collaboration across industry with government, academia, and partners. At AWS, he's been building the ecosystem to drive education and skilling initiatives at scale from ground up. His vision is central to our nation's AI promise and for AWS to serve as the skilling backbone of India's AI-powered Viksit Bharat future. With such esteemed panelist members, I'm really, really excited for the discussion, and I hope you all have the same. We look forward to that, and now I request Deepika to take that over. Thank you so much.
Hi, thanks so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this session, and thank you for walking all those couple of thousand steps to reach here and join us for the session. So we'll quickly quick start here. We are at a moment where the world of work is changing faster than the traditional education model. AI is no longer a future concept. It's already shaping how decisions are made, products are built, and the value is created. The interactions even we have today with the universities and the colleges, I mean, we've been hearing that a big point of discussion and a pressing question is that how the education should keep pace with the changing technology needs which AI is bringing to the forefront. And while we already have the Indian education policy kicked in, right, and thanks to the changes that the government has brought into this entire ecosystem, still I think there is a pressing need of matching the speed of the technology, and also in terms of how do the skill set becomes the core scope of learning, and the shift happens where the traditional degree-based centric education is getting the skill-based learning into the ecosystem. So with that, I would like to initiate the discussion and ask Professor Alok here that what, as per you, is the single most urgent change AI is forcing on institutions today? Is it curriculum? Is it pedagogy? Is it assessments? Or is it the faculty capabilities?
You know, before speaking directly onto the question asked, if I may say that, especially the kind of ecosystem that has been created all across the country, it tries to convey a message as if everything is going to change because of AI. How I see artificial intelligence is an extension of information technology tool that is there to support our decision making. Support by making it faster, I mean speedier, more accurate. And how does this actually work? This works on available data that is available in the internet space, and uses certain algorithms to project based on past performances, right? So it projects your decision making as if what can be done. Say, for example, I was coming, going, eating, reading, it could have been anything. So my mobile says, coming to AI summit. So it will give you a few options. Based on your previous pattern, it will project some probables. You are going to select one, right? The most simple thing. So let us not treat artificial intelligence as a god, as a replacement of God, which is there for everything. It is an information technology tool, nothing more, nothing less, designed to support our decision-making process, speedier and relatively more accurate. Now, in an educational institution, I see the greatest impact. But before coming out of that, also let us have a clear conception as to how do we see India, an Indian institution, and an Indian teacher, and head of an Indian educational institution. How do I see artificial intelligence as an information technology tool that I say is an extension of prevailing information technology tools? Is that we still are talking largely of the benefits of AI, and when we talk of benefits of AI, we talk of its consumption. I believe the time has come when we have got to start thinking of artificial intelligence revolution, not just from consumption point of view, but also from creation point of view. Because I believe we did very well, and it was much talked about thing during IT revolution, initial when computerization and subsequent digitization world started taking place. We missed the bus by merely providing coders to the world. We hardly have had IT products. And I say that Honorable Prime Minister has very rightly touched the chord where he said that we should try and come up with artificial intelligence products also. Not just some, back office service providers. So let us move beyond consumption. When I'll reply to the specific question that was asked, I would want to reply beyond consumer. As an educational institution, I can consume artificial intelligence in delivery, in pedagogy, in evaluation, very importantly in governance. I'll share a couple of examples also. But having said this, why did I say all this is because as an institution, as a responsible institution of the country, as head of that institution, it's my duty to also think of institutional contribution in terms of creation of artificial intelligence knowledge and not just use it for our consumption. Like for example, in our evaluation, before that, I was Vice Chancellor of a big university which has had close to 5 lakh students. On campus, off campus. Now 5 lakh student in a semester appears in 6 papers. So in one semester, we were supposed to evaluate 30 lakh copies. How will this be evaluated? You have limited number of faculty. Not all faculty are equally trained, equipped, and competent. But you've got to evaluate. If you get that evaluated only by a certain teachers with certain norms, it will take months and years. And if it is not seriously evaluated, the day result is out, 500 students will be standing, making all the narebazi against the Vice Chancellor. हमको number कम मिल गए, हमारे fail हो गए, हमारे ये हो गया, वो हो गया, सही नहीं जांचा. Now, can we have a simple, it's a very simple AI model that can evaluate those copies and evaluate to perfection. What all do you need to do is just scan those copies, content, map it with the best possible option available, and project this with this. So if say 500 words have to be there and these should be the content of those 500 words, only 15% is there, so you'll get 15% marks. But the difficulty will be that बहुत सारे बच्चे fail हो जाएंगे फिर. But then that can subsequently be worked upon. Another was, at IIM Calcutta, I tried to implement it. So I called one of the faculty who was an expert. So he said, I'll myself develop a tool. I said, but evaluate it manually as well as with this tool. And let us give both the options to the student. Because ultimately it's a student's world. We are doing it for students. So let them accept which one is something that they want to be evaluated through. And then after a term's evaluation, we found out that we are going to extrapolate it to the entire term, but not with one tool. Let us have 3 tools and let us give the option to the student as if they want to take the mean or the best of the 3. So that the benefit should also always be, the benefit of doubt should always go to the students. Same artificial intelligence tool can be assessed in our admissions, which is very critical. Students have got enormous complaints about I've been fairly evaluated or not. So let you be evaluated by individuals, but also supported by some tool that, again, as I said previously, is that it will project based on the pasts and your content that you have provided to the reservoir. Now, based on this content, I can always project it with certain standard algorithms, which will equally be applicable to all these students. So you will have your score. So wherever subjective marking comes in, let this be done by machines, so that it gives the least. So in all the functions of the institutional governance, or institutional institute-student relationship, it can surely be infused to make the life better and easier.
Wonderful perspective. I think you've already given a lot of case studies and cases and ideas to explore AI into the world. So next one, I think in line to the same conversation, Anurag, this would be for you in terms of we've been talking about AI-driven economy. So, but what does it really mean for the educational system? I mean, Professor picked up on a lot of areas where AI can be used, but how do we kind of see it reflecting into the education ecosystem if we talk about AI-driven economy?
When we, and like Professor Rai has already mentioned about AI, so everybody is talking about AI, which is artificial intelligence, but I think there is another AI that has to tackle that AI, which is A for academia and I for industry. That is also AI. So artificial intelligence has to be tackled by academia and industry together. As humans, we don't have any dearth of creativity. We can create anything in our minds, correct? What has AI done? AI has removed the strains from our creativity. Today, AI can make probably Bahubali on Mars, isn't it? You can create Bahubali on Mars, but that creativity AI will give wings. Now when it comes to academia and industry, there has been a long-standing debate. We will always say, okay, people are not employable, there is a huge gap, what industry requires, what students are learning, there is a gap. We all have been students. I will tell you what was initially what used to happen. We all are trained in our minds to get experience on the job. Okay? We have done engineering. After doing the engineering, the day you enter first day on the job, you will suddenly realize whatever theorems I have read, reality is completely different. So that is the gap. It is not a gap between my understanding, my capability, but it is the gap of perception. So we have been trained to get experience on the job. With AI, that is no more an option, because AI will impact how the work is done. AI will impact how the workflows will happen. And like Professor Rai has given examples that today we can create, anybody can create. It is not that you have to be an AI expert to create something out of AI. You just have to understand what exactly AI can do, and then anybody can create any application from that. So it was not about what artificial intelligence can do. It is always about how we can train our manpower, our students, our professionals on how to use AI to create something, not to use, but to create something. And that is where it is very essential that in current programs there has to be industry and academia collaboration, so that together industry can tell academia that exactly this is what I want, or this is going to be the trend after 2-3 years. Just imagine, today we are talking about AI. Now we have heard Gen AI. Suddenly there is agentic AI. Okay, so now there is a program that we start in AI. It is a 4-year engineering program. Let us assume that. We start the program with this. Who knows what is going to happen after 4 years? We will start talking about, after some time, we will start talking about adaptive AI. After 4 years, when the person is graduating, the student is graduating, in AI, Gen AI, agentic AI, the world will be talking about quantum AI. So it is essential for this collaboration, so that with each and every passing technology enhancement that should be passed on real time to the academia, to the students, that they should start learning quantum AI from year 2. They should start learning adaptive AI from year 1. So I think that is where I see that industry academia collaboration is very important for future programs and skilling.
Wonderful. And I think, Abhinav, this one would be for you from the industry perspective again, as in, and Anurag very well mentioned that there is a lot of change which is already happening. So how do the institutes, they, reinvent themselves to stay closely aligned to this evolving industry demand?
Deepika, thanks first of all, Accenture and my fellow panelists for inviting me to this panel. Really good to be here. Thank you to the entire audience for braving all the crowds outside, in fact, the rains, and sitting here patiently and listening to us. Thank you for that. So just coming back to your question, Deepika. So at AWS, all of you are probably aware of what we do, right? In terms of technology, our mission and vision is to democratize the access to technology and drive transformation at a citizen level, not just for businesses, but at a core citizen level. So our mission for AWS India is categorically about building for India and for the world from India, right? Now, a very key component of that is building the talent for the future, right? The whole idea of India's AI promise today is based out of the talent we produce. We will have the compute, we will have all the GPUs in the world, we will have all the technology in the world, but we need the right talent, we need to build the right capability for the future. And you mentioned a very important point, Dr. Alok, that we need to move the mindset from becoming a consumption economy towards a creation economy. We have to play it very smartly, folks, right? We have all the chips in the room, right? We have the right set of talent in this country who can be the supplier for the future in terms of the talent required to produce that competitive edge, right? But at the same time, we are facing this huge challenge today. Whenever I go and speak to our customers, the main challenge they're facing is the scissors effect, where the skills gap required to have the right kind of AI-based productivity and outcomes produced for a customer organization is increasing at a higher rate of change as compared to the right kind of talent pool being created in India. So the recent figures I got to know from a report was that almost half of the talent coming out of universities is unemployable to the standards these organizations want, given the kind of projects and deliveries they would like to have. So there's definitely a gap. Now, alluding back to Professor Alok's point that AI is obviously new, but the concepts are not new. We have faced technological transitions in the past as well. Yes, it's a structural change this time, so the impact and the magnitude is much more deeper. But what we really need to understand is the key aspect of change here is the rate of change. Every 2.5 weeks, there's a new LLM coming out in the market, a new version of an LLM coming out in the market, right? So the step change is much higher. The half-life of skills, which when probably Anurag and I were growing up, as you alluded to our engineering past, was around 10 years. Today it is less than 2 years. So rather than looking at it as a gap in what the academia is doing, I would look at it as a systems thinking required by industry and academia together around the fact that what we have done for financial inclusion in India, which is the digital public infrastructure, all of you use UPI, right? We need a similar moment for education as well. We need to have a Bharat Edu AI stack. I know some of us are building it. I think IIT Madras is building it. But we need to all come together from academy, from industry, to have a systems thinking to it. If we have an ad hoc, collaboration, announcement-based approach to this, we will miss the bus on the rate of change. Today, of course, Accenture, AWS, IIM, we all have industry academy connects. We all have programs which are brilliant, which are going across India. AWS itself has a program called Academy, which has skilled millions of learners and faculty with accredited universities across India, and we are solving the problem of the talent pipelines into these organizations. But again, is this enough? So we need a systems approach, we need a See, the good part is that we have the right kind of agility in the government, the policy support, and the government is listening. The ministry and the skills departments are listening. And the industry is very well favored in terms of producing these changes. So if we all come together and we think about a systems approach on how to build that digital public infrastructure on education, then get into how do we bring, let's say, and the mindset here is what is required for the future, not today. Today is already gone, right? Where the puck is going to be 3 years down the line, whether it is haptic engineering, whether it is physical AI, whether it is creation economy, right? We have to build on that because it takes time to create pipeline. It is not built overnight. So hence, I think we need a stack approach, a systems approach, and therein if the industry and the academia come together as a part of that stack, as a part of an inclusion mission rather than an ad hoc collaboration, I think that is scalable in a country like India. Else will be a newspaper report forgotten in 4 days.
Thanks, Abhinav. I think that's a great perspective, and I believe from AWS perspective, we've been very closely working, and there is a lot of programs which are being designed and taken on ground. So, and to you, Anurag, as well, you've been spearheading this entire engagement initiatives and platforms where you're trying to bridge this gap between skill-based learning and the degree, the model. So how do you think the future programs, what could be the opportunity to design differently the future programs and the delivery models?
I think what will be the future of the programs? And like Professor Rai and Avinav rightly said, there will not be a single program, okay? There will be collaborations, like for example, if something new AI development happens, see we cannot stop technology, neither we can stop technology development. It will happen. Today it is AI, tomorrow it will be something else. But take an example that, okay, if we take what is best in academia, what is best in technology, what is best in applications, can we create some program where our students or our generation is taught on how everything works and how I can create something out of it. So they learn the basics, they learn the creativity, they learn how to use the tools, and then they learn how to deploy it. I think that is the future of education. And that is, I foresee futuristic program you can call, where it is wholesome program, not only based out of academia or based only on technology, but it is amalgamation of all these three aspects of learning. Just think about it. Accenture and AWS, we keep talking, we keep working on lot of projects, lot of programs. There is something called ACI, Amazon Cloud Institute, programs, specially developed for today's generation. We run that program. So it is a joint initiative by us. Same way, we run a lot of programs with academia. And they listen to us. Like Professor Rai was saying, we give them feedback that this should be a part of the programs. And they do it. If we say that, okay, what are the AI models that will be there for business? They create it. So I think future lies to all of us together, not working in silos. And just think about it. You might be hearing prompt engineering. Okay, everybody is saying, I am a prompt engineer. I am learning prompt engineering. It is a fancy word. What exactly is prompt engineering? It is just going back to basics, isn't it? How you do the right prompts. Today I am 100% sure many of us are using ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. For Gen AI, okay, we will post a question, we expect some answer. We will post another question, we will expect some answer. Do you believe that answer is correct? How many of you believe the answer you have received is correct? It depends what exactly prompt you have given. Okay. Even if you change the prompt by one word, your answer can be completely different. Plus, because AI is learning from data, you start providing wrong data to AI, it will start giving you wrong answers. Okay, so AI also hallucinate. So who is going to check AI? Are we teaching, okay, are we teaching people how to check the authenticity of AI? There is a big study currently going on, responsible AI. We don't want to be like in movies you would have seen, AI world 5-10 years back, that there are robots and we are all prisoners in those robots. Nobody wants to do that, correct? So are we teaching responsible AI in our schools, in our colleges? So I think that is where what we have to teach. We have to teach basics, creativity, economics, humanities, all these basic subjects will remain at the core. Nobody can change that. Even AI cannot change that. But what AI will change, or what any technology will change, is that industry, academia coming together, all parts of academia, all parts of industry coming together and creating programs that will create real professionals for the upcoming age of intelligence. That's what I feel.
No, wonderful. And another viewpoint could be that, with the industry certification, Abhinav, do you think, the certifications or the product knowledge which the industry is imparting through evaluating students on certain niche skill set, so is that an advantage, and how it is going to, bridge this employability gap?
Yeah, definitely, Deepika. I think certifications, of course, is very, very important in terms of validation of your credentials. Every learning needs an outcome, right? And that outcome has to be benchmarked to global standards, right? As simple as that. When I said earlier, the mission for AWS is creating for India and for the world from India, right? We can't be just creating talent also only for India, right? So everything we do needs to have an outcome. It has to be a global benchmark. Like at AWS, we have our AWS certifications globally benchmarked towards industries, towards roles, towards technology domains, towards skills, and so on and so forth, right? Now, if you've gone through a learning pathway, you have invested your time within an academia or within a organization, and if your verifiable credentials, all of you use LinkedIn today, all of you are posting your skill badges, your micro credentials, your certifications. What does it really do for you? It actually gives you a verifiable way to benchmark your knowledge. Of course, it doesn't provide you experience. That has to be earned. But at the same time, it helps you create a stackable skill block being verified on a global level. So I think it's a very important positioning perspective as well, that while we are creating the talent pipeline, while we are creating a talent pool, there should be a benchmarking activity alongside the learning to make it more stackable, to make it more, globally viable.
Super. And Professor, you already spoke about that how AI is, the use cases that you called out. So maybe we can think that the future belongs to maybe techno management. And how do we see that the institutions, in terms of the shift that which institutions should bring in to design programs and to develop these graduates to face the future of work?
If I'm allowed, I would just reword techno management to application management. Management in itself is an application based discipline. But what we are doing at IIM Calcutta is, along with our regular flagship programs, which are largely academic in nature, we are on a spree of initiating 3 programs in 3 respective functional specializations at IIM Calcutta in strict collaboration with industry. So we already have 2 programs which are run in association with different institutions. So one program is with IIT Kanpur and IIT Madras, I am Calcutta. Another program is with ISI Calcutta, IIT Kharagpur, and I am Calcutta. But now we are coming up with 3 programs. All these individual programs are having more than one industry partners. So that what all we teach our students during their 1 year or 2 year stay in on the campus should be more than just imparting certain knowledge, I mean specific domain knowledge, but also prepare them from day one for the job. So say for example, a finance program, if it has got a private equity firm on board, a fintech company on board, and a regulatory financial authority is on board, the application orientation and the skill strength of these student who once become professional is far more effective from day one as compared to any other professional. So similarly, the programs are there. I mean, industry partnership is very important. Having said this, let us not digress with the core theme here, which is powering institution for an AI-driven future. The way these decision makings, I go back to the fundamental line that I had said. जो बात मैंने सबसे शुरू में कही, artificial intelligence is an advanced information technology tool to facilitate our decision making by making it speedier and relatively more accurate. In all these cases, what is important is कि हमारा decision making, be it finance program or a marketing program or an HR program or an IT program or manufacturing program, this decision making is going to be backed by these artificial intelligence tools. And if these decision makings are going to be backed by artificial intelligence tools, the delivery also should have this component, not just be taught as a subject, not just be taught just as some sort of skill set, but also it should be part of respective courses in a program. So if in a program there are a number of courses, these courses should have artificial intelligence be imbibed as a tool so that there also they are trained to use it for decision making. And that will enable them to take their decisions faster and speedier, backed by artificial intelligence.
Wonderful, Professor. And I think the next question which I have in mind is very well sitting on top of what you just mentioned, in the sense that, to you, Abhinav, what should institutes rethink education as a continuous skill-led journey rather than one-time based credential earning? So how can skills be kind of fitted into this credentials based learning rather than like a degree program being done, and what education institutes can do differently to inculcate this?
I think I partly answered your question in my previous reply, but having said this, an institute like Indian Institute of Management Calcutta, our executive programs are far outnumbering a regular program in terms of number of participants. So if we have 1,500 total regular students on campus, we have 7,500 plus executive programs who are professionals. And that is where we fit into the role of being a skill imparting or skill enhancing institution, rather than mere providing this domain knowledge. Having said this, I also said that all our programs are continuously being redesigned, and we are incorporating not just the latest research outcomes that are coming in the specific domain area, but also enriching it with, as it's very aptly written, like AI-driven future. So where lies the future of the professionals, those who are coming? So if the future of marketing is going to be like this, if the future of finance is going to be changed accordingly, we are going to change our entire curriculum imparting framework in sync with the requirement to enable them to be a successful professional and be a productive professional from day one.
Abhinav, would you like to top up with your thoughts on it because you very closely work with the academia? So
Sure, sure. I think it's not just incumbent upon the academies, to be honest. It's, again, the AI-driven future is together, right? And spoke about systems thinking in the past answer as well, that there's a role technology organizations play here, right? And that is very integral to how the academies behave in terms of the future, in terms of building the right kind of curricula. In my view, it is the acronym ITL, I as in the infrastructure. And when I'm talking about academies, I'm not just talking about the premier institutions, I'm talking about academies across India, right? Right down to a tier 4, tier 5 city, emerging tech talent hubs and so on and so forth. So infrastructure, which is the access to technology, is very important, which is having at least the access to edge AI, if not a full GPU compute, right? And that is where our role play, is very crucial, right? Unless until you have access to, let's say, the compute or the application stack or any other layers available to you to even learn or start learning, I think the whole exercise is futile. The second is T, which is teachers. I think there's a dearth of faculty learning programs at scale today. I know we are all doing it, but still when I look at the gap numbers, they run into millions, right? So we again need to think at population scale and not just enterprise scale or not just any other core joint announcements or collaborations. I think we all need to sit together and think about population scale, how to solve for that. And one of the key components of that is also having industry-aligned curricula, right? Like for example, we were talking about certifications earlier, and even though AWS will have these 12 global certifications always available to you, but on a constant basis, as we ourselves are evolving our own technology, on a constant basis, we keep updating our certifications, our learning content, our curriculum. I think a similar approach has to be taken by academies. I'm sure they're doing it as well. Like I said before, the half-life of skills has reduced to even less than 2 years now. I think a constant systems thinking should be in place where academy is aligned with industry. They're feeding off the industry requirements, the jobs of the future, what kind of skill matrix do they need in terms of industry and domain depth. And one thing, Deepika, I've seen missing today is that when we are thinking about population scale, we think about numbers as an output metric, right? Like, how many people have we skilled? I think the numbers have to be an input metric as to how we get to number of people.
yeah.
But the output has to be what kind of outcomes did we drive? Did we drive an uplift in employability? Did we drive day one readiness, where there is a 51% gap today?
Yeah.
Did we drive a uplift in entrepreneurship? It is not just about getting jobs anymore in India. All of us know that, right? How do we build that mindset of entrepreneurship? How do we enable entrepreneurship through skills and enablement at scale? I think that is where a very crucial role of that ITL, and the last one, L, is linguistics. We are all talking and conversing here in English, but India is not just this one language, but 22 languages. So we have to be, when we are talking about AI, we have to be sensitized around being Indic in our approach as well, because we are talking about that rural population to be enabled on AI as well, right? So ITL, I'll keep it there. I think that is where a lot of work is required.
Thank you so much. And I know we're at the top of the hour, and I'm looking for the organizers. Can I have just one quick take from everybody, the panel here, 30 seconds on? If we look ahead in 10 years, what will distinguish institutions that successfully powered the AI-driven future from those that fall behind? Anurag, maybe we start from you.
I think institutions who will accept that there is change is going to happen. And there will be institutions who will think nothing is going to change, like something else was there 3 years back. It will come and go, AI will come and go, and we will continue as it is. I think this thought of changing with time has come upon us. And after 10 years, that will distinguish between these two institutions. One which will be standing upon all the technologies, management, innovation, collaboration on the top of all these things, and there will be another institutions that will be still doing regular degrees, regular frameworks, regular teaching. I will give you one example, and I'm sure a lot of people may not agree with that because I have not seen people accepting it that widely. Today, when I go and meet a lot of institutions and we talk about online degrees, okay, there is a traditional degree, definitely. Traditional degrees are there. When we talk about online degrees, there are many institutions which still feel that it is third world sort of programs. Okay, they are still not able to believe that world is moving faster away from traditional teaching methods. Okay, what benefits online degrees bring? Because it brings a lot of collaboration. It gets you best of faculties. It can get you best of industry experts. So, hanging on to your legacy programs or pedagogy may not work. It requires change. Let us accept it as fast as possible, because after 10 years, with each passing year, this gap will keep increasing and we will be staring at two completely different type of institutions standing before us. That's what I feel.
Professor, your take.
Only those institutions will sustain successfully who will keep evolving with the change that takes place with passage of time. So time testing institution essentially need to keep evolving with the change of the market. And that is what we are trying to strive for.
Abhinav.
Yeah, I know. I have to be quick, Deepika. Very quickly, I think adaptability to change will be a key differentiator overall. But also, I think the academy is not just from a curricular perspective or from a student outreach perspective, but I think academies or a university of the future would be the one which adapts AI for their own operations and workings as well, right? So I think in India there is a particular gap of staffing challenges as well, and most of our faculty is usually engaged in undifferentiated heavy lifting, right? So we have to take away all that task-based approach and replace it with AI, augment it, and have the faculty deliver some higher outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Thanks to all the panelists. I'll pass it on to you.
Thank you so much, esteemed panelists. The thing with such riveting discussions is that nobody wants these discussions to end, right? But for something else to come up, which is also very, very interesting, thank you so much for your time today. And a quick recap. Thank you so much. A quick recap for everybody. The future definitely belongs to those institutions that prioritizes skills, employability, and the real world impact belonging to AI. AI is definitely not just a tool. It is a redesign trigger. It must be looked at it that way. Deeper collaboration between academia, industry, and ecosystem partners is just not essential, but it is very critical at this point of time. Curriculum agility is the newest benchmark, and it is very important. Talent creation must begin early, and it definitely must go on and must be continuous. Finally, employability must be designed and not something hoped for. On that note, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being with us here today. And the next panel discussion will begin in a few minutes. Till then, thank you so much.
While we begin the next session, just wanted to remind you that we are Accenture LearnVantage. We are also at hall number 6, where we have the Accenture LearnVantage Pavilion. There we are helping expo visitors explore how enterprises and institutions can build AI-ready talent, preparing leaders and translating learning into real workforce impact. We will begin the second panel shortly. The second LearnVantage panel is called Transforming Enterprises for the Age of Intelligence. This panel focuses on how GenAI is structurally redesigning the work, skills, and leadership, and what enterprises must do across industry, across academia, and across ecosystems to move from experimentation to scalable value. The panel will deliberate upon how enterprise reinvention is about work, is about skills, and about leadership, not just knowledge of AI tools, and that talent strategy is what is needed the most attention. So I'd like to invite on stage the esteemed panel. First, I'd like to invite Mr. Dattatri Salagame, who is the CEO, President, and MD of Bosch Global Software Technology Private Limited, BGSW. Welcome, Dattatri. In his current role as the CEO and MD at Bosch Global Software Technologies, Dattatri leads the company's efforts to drive technology-first digital transformations for the world and is looking for further strengthening BGSWs as the global software powerhouse for Bosch and its customers. Next, Ms. Swati Sharma. Swati is the Chief Strategy and Growth Officer at Accenture LearnVantage. Swati is a globally recognized executive with over 2 decades of experience driving strategic growth, innovation, and digital transformation across industries. Currently serving as the Chief Strategy and Growth Officer at LearnVantage, she leads global expansion, ecosystem partnerships, and investment strategy. Our third panelist is Mr. Arif Khan. Please welcome Mr. Arif Khan, Chief Innovation Officer at Razorpay. And as the CIO of Razorpay, Arif is primarily responsible for leading the banking, risk management, regulatory affairs, and public policy teams towards larger organizational revision of fine-tuning Razorpay's offerings in the digital payment space. Again, we would like to welcome Deepika Kapoor. Deepika Kapoor just moderated the previous session. Thanks, Deepika, and welcome back again. Deepika is the head industry partnerships and marketing at NASSCOM. Deepika has been playing a key role in shaping national level skilling initiatives and aligning industry needs with workforce readiness. Her work focuses on creating measurable impact at scale through partnerships and innovations. So without much ado, let's begin the second LearnVantage panel. Over to you, Deepika.
Thank you so much. I thought I would get a breather, but nevertheless. Wonderful. Thank you so much for everybody for joining in today. Again, welcome to the session. And I know, you've been braving enough all this walk and the rain. So grateful for all of you to fill the house here, and thanks a lot. We are here seeing so much done in the sphere of AI. So many tools available. While we were all walking through this expo, we've seen that there are so much innovation happening in the space of AI, so much intelligence floating around. However, there is this pressing question of how the enterprises are, looking forward to adopting all these changes with so much already being done, and there is a format where the workspace has already been working for so many years. So how do we see that, this breakneck speed of change which is coming through AI? How as an enterprises, all of you are, working towards bringing this change on ground, changing the work culture, and adopting AI. Arif, I would like to start from you. If you can give your perspective of how do you see this changes impacting the enterprise?
Sure. Thanks, guys. I'm Arif. I'm from Razorpay. And if you're wondering who's powering the payments at this event, it's Razorpay. Okay. So, and we have got our sales guys up here. So, okay.
Super. Raise your hands, please.
Okay. Cool. Right. So, and I'll so obviously I don't come from the academia. I'm not on the HR side of life, right? So I'm just going to tell you my life as a manager or maybe as a leader and what I've been through, right? And what's happening, right? I think fundamentally, while we are talking about AI today, I think it's been there for a while, right? It's been evolving. I hear a lot of buzz over here about, she mentioned about these tools, etc. But that's not something that is worrying me. I know there is a FOMO a lot of you have. Like, you hear the word Replit, then you hear the word MCP, then you hear things like Claude. But that's not necessarily that's worrying to me. I think different agents, different tools, that's how I look at them. And over a period of time, we'll master some of them, and you'll keep having this evolvement right around it. When I look at it structurally, there are 2-3 things that come to my mind, right? And I think Mr. Nandan Lilankani was talking about it yesterday. He mentioned this. And since I spent a decade and a half a bank, I could relate to it, right? I think one fundamental challenge that I see is earlier we used to have, systems which were legacy. Let's say a 2-decade-old architecture existing in the organization. Then we built some middleware over it, and then we started making a front end over it. So at any point in time, it was a very hybrid data center, if you've ever visited, right? Some old technologies, some new technologies, and some leading customer-facing technologies, right? But now with AI coming in, I don't think so you can have this siloed anymore. I think that's one change that people need to understand. Over and beyond the agents that we talk about and the tools, I think, so if you look at any traditional large organization, and I think my colleague on the panel would probably be more accurate with numbers, but the estimate that we typically have is 60% of the budget, right, goes towards maintaining and sustaining what is legacy. And around 30-40% is about what is current and new. And I think the idea is that, hey, how do you go to 70% which is new, and how do you make sure that, it's only 30% to sustain, right, in terms of your budget. Now, that's one problem on the infra and tech side we really need to solve. I think the other challenge, and I'll give you with a Razorpay example, right? We were trying to, we onboard merchants, and we were trying to simplify the journey, right? And at that stage, when we started this, we were looking at AI as a bolt-on. So you bolt something on, and it could make it faster, more efficient, right? So what could happen, let's say, earlier in 7 hours, we were saying, hey, can it happen in 3 hours? What could happen in 3 hours? Can it happen in 1 hour? What required like 6 people behind it, can it be done in 1 person, right? We did that, we got some efficiency. But that's when we realized, right, when one of our younger guys asked this question, it's not how do I automate it, how do I make this agent work. I think the question that really was the bright moment for us is we went back and we asked the question, why this thing exists. I think the moment we started asking ourselves the question, why the process, it helped us. I'll give you a small example, right? When the first electric motors came in, they were used for doing a particular function, right? Let's take the steam engine. Initially, the steam engine, when it came in, it was used to pump out the water from the coal mines, right? So what people did is, when it was doing that, they replaced the steam engine with an electric engine, and that's where they left it. What it did is gave them some 10, 15, 20% efficiency. No one imagined at that time that, look, you could take the electrical engine and actually start looking at the entire process, right? And imagine again, for example, the steam engine had a process, they had these conveyor belts, that continued as it is. It took them 30 years to realize that, look, now you have electric motors and you can place them on each belt and you could do it very differently. I think so the question would be more for us, and I think that's where this panel probably will discuss a bit more, is how do you do a lot of unlearning and then what happens to your talent around it, right? I think that's the fundamental question that we need to answer. That's something that used to worry us a couple of years back, but I think now we have at least we believe so that we are on the right path. That we're saying, look, I don't think it's about the end state. It's not about being very deterministic anymore. It's about how do we ask the right questions. And the question always is, why does the process exist? It's not the question that what AI can do in the process. So
Thank you so much, Arif. And Swati, I mean, you've already like kind of spearheading all the strategy and the growth perspective for a big firm. And from the structural legacy perspective, what do you think enterprises need to unlearn to unlock AI-led reinvention?
I think Arif just nailed it. So he used the word reimagine. I think that's the crux of if any enterprise which is looking to maintain their edge in this age of intelligence, then it has to be the power of reimagine. The organizations which can reinvent themselves, it's not a one-time process, it's a continuous process. But if they can reimagine the work, if they can reimagine the jobs, if they can reimagine the skills which are going to be required to be relevant, to be ahead in the market, like he introduced, we are empowering the digital payments of India. So they reimagined the payments structure. Okay, it came because of pandemic or it came because of XYZ, that doesn't matter. But the organizations who have the ability to reimagine are the ones who will be taking the lead in next few generations. That's how I would say that we can break that mental model.
Super. Thank you so much. And this one is for you, Dadaji. So from the CEO's perspective, right, I mean, what is the hardest thing to learn when scaling AI across a large enterprise organizational structure, decision rights, talent model, and leadership mindset? So in terms of, we're talking about restructure, reinvention, and, learning, unlearning. So what, from your perspective, at the helm of it, what do you think should be the one take on this?
Thanks for having me here. And you need to bear with my funny looking voice. Like people blame Bangalore traffic, I can blame it on Delhi pollution. So I come from a industry which is in a very big transition actually. We can automate a lot of engineering. At the same time, none of you will drive a car which is completely engineered using AI. I'm sure, you want airbags to open at the right time. You want the safety of the car to function, flawless, because the factor of safety in a car is more than 100%. So while certain aspects of life cycle of product development of automotive engineering value stream can be done using AI, but there are a lot of subcomponents which are still have to be done extremely with safety in focus. So we are an industry in transition. While we know that there will be a day when we design a lot of our subsystems using AI as an engineering force, AI at the center, but in the next 3 to 5 years, we need to develop many of your systems as we were doing it some years back. So what does it mean for us to, it's almost like running two modes of the same organization, right? There's one mode which has very deep domain knowledge of electromechanical systems, and which is your bread and butter, and we know that it is going to run for next 10 to 15 years. At the same time, there are subsystems where you're unbundling hardware and software, and that part would be extremely AI-led. So you run two organizations in the same company actually. So from a structure standpoint, what you asked, you need to have, again, two formats, because if I have an organization which is 35,000 people, you don't have to move all 35,000 people onto an AI paradigm overnight. So you need to calibrate your velocity and appetite for change and create an organization which makes sense. I think for us, protecting the leadership is extremely important, because our leadership represent many years of, if you can call it as tribal knowledge of the domain, automotive industry. Now we need to protect that while bringing them up to the world of AI. So that's the transition which we are going through now.
No, wonderful, and I think what we're talking here is absolutely a new operational model where human and AI is coming together, augmenting each other to face the future of work. And Arif, I think this would be for you in terms of how the roles are being redesigned, and what stays human-led and what becomes AI-assisted.
So, actually, I have a very different view to what Mr. Dattari said, right? But with due respect, right? I think, let me talk about myself, right? It's like a midlife crisis. At my age, so-called leadership, right? I think the biggest challenge in AI is the leadership, right? A lot of us, including me, we lack what I call intellectual humility. So a lot of my knowledge is based on certain domains. Like, so how did I grow in life, right? It's a secret sauce. Some of you may want to pick it up, right? I learned one domain, went very deep, got known for it, kept building on it, and over a period of time, your organization recognizes you and you grow, right? I think, and that knowledge was with me. I think AI completely takes away, right? The information and knowledge is available abundantly now, right? So what is AI? In a way, it's a partner to you. Everything that was institutionalized within you is now available for everybody. There could be a new kid on the block who has access to all that information. What he doesn't have is your ability to pass the judgment on it, right? So I think that's the fundamental different way, at least I would like to look at it. So when we talk about this back in Razorpay, I fundamental question to all of us, right? Anyone, it's difficult to, put an age to it, but we keep telling ourselves that anyone who's about 23 years old and working with Razorpay, then you're not born in the AI era, right? So, I think I forgot the person's name. I think it was Skulls who mentioned it, right? When you are on a new paradigm, you will not wait to get consent from people who are opponents of it. What you will get is a new generation that will come in who are born in that paradigm and they'll make it a success. But the problem that we have today in the industry is most of us, like leadership, I'm definitely not the, probably I'm the second last generation, right? I'm not the new generation. So how in midlife do we adopt it? And that's where, in my mind, intellectual humility. What I mean by that, everything that I knew has to be now unlearned. And again over here, when we talk about, like Sir was mentioning about two organizations, we don't see it that way, right? The way we look at it is, like every individual within the organization has a certain skill set, right? Talents, right? But a skill set, it's a composition of many things. I'll give you an example. Like we have people who, on the data science side, right? Around 150 of them. By default, it's table stake that they write very good models, efficient and all those kind of things. I think that's a given. And we really don't value them for that. What we want them is to go upper in the, in thought process where they're saying, like, look, do you understand the nuance of cash flow of a D2C company vis-a-vis a supply chain company? And that's a human judgment, right? So we look at AI as a partner, right? Who has all the repository, all the information. How could you come together and pass the judgment? Another thing, sorry if I'm prolonging it, we don't see, there's this classic question, right? If you joggle with AI, whether human in between or human at helm, right? And we are not the ones who believe that human should be in between. We believe human at helm, right? It's the higher decision that human will take, right? For example, we talk about trust by design. I mean, you look at UPI, right? From an inclusion point of view, it's not a bolt-on. It's not that you had UPI and then you said, oh, we want to do this in tier 3. The design stage, you made sure that the right trust architecture, the right inclusion structure was included, and then you could add to it. So I think the human role will evolve there. And if anybody who stands in the way of this is going to be people like me who are the leadership team. So the biggest challenge for AI is not that the youth adopting new tools or understanding AI, is I would call elderly, old people like me who become roadblocks. So I think that's the undoing. And I don't think there's again, right? We don't see AI as an initiative or as a feature. We see it as an operating layer. That's about it, right? Everything built, everything shipped, it has to be behind it. If not, I think it's an existential crisis for us. It's not what you can do with AI, it's what you will become as an organization with AI. So that's the way we look at it. Slight difference of opinion, but let's see.
I think it's, if I may add, depends on when you were born. Bosch was born 140 years back. And hence, you need to manage the legacy of a 140-year-old company. And the biggest value of an organization now, if you are heading strategy or if you are heading, an important function like CTO, is to design a velocity, a pragmatic velocity with which you carry the organization. There is plenty of noise around AI. There is plenty of substance in AI. Now, how do you choose for your organization? It's like human body. You cannot, transplant anybody's organ to you. So you need to figure out the velocity and the volume of the technology transformation that suits your organization. Because digital native organization that you are is born in a different era, and an organization that has seen 2 world wars has to transition into an era where a consumer who is sitting in the car, and the car is designed for the consumer and not for the car performance. So that is the transition we are going through. So there are two trajectories, and there is no formula for AI transformation.
Add one more thing, right? This is good fun. Maybe next year we'll come back
I
and
want to
debate,
add as well.
right? So, we figured out.
So guys, my job is done.
So, yeah. So within the organization, we would have like millions and millions of lines of code, right? We are an organization which is 11 years now. And when we sat back and thought to ourselves, what if we have to build Razorpay, code by code, line by line, again from scratch? In today's time, it would take us 6 months. And the very fact that we are 11-year-old, and obviously not 140, but we already feel that we are from the Jurassic age, and hence the need for the transition. But I'll take a bet next year we'll catch up again, for sure.
No,
I
absolutely.
do this panel every year.
And I love to be sitting between two generations right now. You can hear in the room what we are talking, what an organization which is digital native is facing as AI, how they are bringing AI to their life. And an organization which is running for ages is also bringing AI to their life. And both of them are equally passionate about leveraging what AI can do. However, both of them agree, and you both can disagree if you feel, that discretionary part of this whole era, both of them are clearly articulating wants to be with human. So I think that's the crux, that if AI can do all the periphery, but discretionary remains with the human beings, that is where we will get on to the reimagine and reinvention of the organizations.
No, that's a wonderful perspective, and I think what we started the conversation was, of course, how human and AI are coming together to take this ahead. So definitely, I think we're all aligned on that thought at least. So great to hear that. So Datta, sir, this is another one for you in terms of where are you personally choosing to double down on consciously slow down investment, and what signals guide those decisions in terms of embedding this whole AI transition into the enterprise? So what is your perspective on the investments there?
No, that's a very apt question. About 10 years back, so the entire automotive industry decided on what is now called as software-defined vehicle. So you fundamentally unbundle hardware and software, and you define the car of the future using software. All of us spent billions and billions of dollars on it to make software like a cell phone, where you can upgrade the car regularly without changing the hardware. Now this product side hypothesis has not taken off, because the value stream between the OE, tier 1 and the consumer is not very, very clear. Now who pays whom is not very obvious. So what we are slowing down a little bit is our investment on software-defined vehicle, how we deliver, what are the features that we deliver in software-defined vehicle. Now we are on a search for real value items of software-defined vehicle, and not, I'll control your car's light remotely. This is not what is giving you revenue streams. So we are slowing down a little bit on that. But what we are amping up is leveraging AI for our own software development. What we visualize is about 30 to 35% of our software development will be completely taken over by AI tools, overseen by senior developers, including safety relevant software development. So we are really investing heavily on that.
So how far do you see the entire shift to autonomous vehicle when you're saying that you're not kind of bringing in technology to let go the human element from driving the
Everybody's
vehicle?
favorite question.
That was the mother of all AI problems we wanted to solve, right? You won't believe some of the Maruti vehicles in India are powered by the AI models, the data trained by our team for Indian conditions. In fact, my team took me to my home from my office in Koramangala. I am still alive. So it works, but a lot of training has to be done, not for level 3 and above, but level 2, 2.5, it really works.
Super, super. And we're talking about trust and governance here. So Arif, in terms of guardrails, I mean, what do you see are the non-negotiable when scaling AI responsibly?
So I think this is where the human element comes in, right? At multiple levels, right? One of the things that I keep telling people is, so for example, we recently launched what we call agentic payments, right? So what it means is, you know, if you're on a Swiggy, Zomato, it's in early days. You could have conversations with Swiggy, Zomato, and within that make, let's say, you know, just say that, hey, I want to order you know what, let's say a soap, or I want to order a burger, and the payment just goes through. I hope some of you have experienced it, right? I mean, so earlier my wife used to tell me I was the agent, and now it's been actually replaced by AI, right? That's so some of these things that we've been doing. Now, when you come back to this guardrails, right? My worry is, I think we tend to write policies, right? And policies are usually very certain. And we are in uncertain times. So if you write policies which are very certain, I think it will really bring down the pace of innovation. So that's one worry. I understand guardrails are important, but at the same time, I think coming from a UPI background in my previous role in NPCI, I think what's important is that the policy should be manifested not in the paper, but in your architecture. I think that what brings out the safety and the control and those kind of things, right? I think the governance side needs to focus a lot where people are not in between trying to do operational recon and all, but it should focus more towards like, hey, you know, are we doing the right kind of inclusion? What are the ethical questions that we are answering? But overall, I think while my view on governance is it needs to be, you know, if you're racing F1, any of you guys watch F1, right? It should be like those sand pits, right, on some sharp turns, right? What it does, it doesn't put a brake to you. It just slows you down a bit, helps you get back into the right direction, and then move on from there. But if the governance structure or compliance structure is where it puts you to halt, red flags you, I think then the country or we as a society will lose, right? I don't think this is the right stage for it. Yes, some controls, because we are a very large country, different, you know, different segments, tier 4, tier 5, people below the poverty line, etc. Some guardrails, but let's not get overboard with it. That's always my worry.
And Swati, to you, I mean, again, from the lens of trust and governance, so there is a lot which is shifting to AI agents in terms of analytics, in terms of, you know, maybe research, etc. So what do you think is something that we can let go as an enterprise, and what is where we would want to kind of keep it like a human-centric or human-driven operation? So is there any, you know, blur or a thin line to think of?
I think the organizations which are trying to close their eyes, thinking AI is just a gimmick, it will vanish, it will go away, then let me tell them, please wake up. AI is not here to go away. It's not a gimmick. It's not a tool. It's not a toy which somebody is trying to push for all of us to buy from a store. AI is truly transforming the way we do businesses. I'll tell you a little bit about Accenture now. Accenture is a 700,000 plus people company globally. And more than half of the headcount of this overall number is based out of India. Now you tell me that Accenture, you are talking about AI is taking over. Why do you have so many people? Why do you need so many people to do the work? The answer to that question is we are reimagining the work with AI. We are not replacing AI. AI is not replacing us. The more we will learn how AI needs to be embedded in our lives, not as a gimmick, not as a tool, but reimagining the work, what we are trying to do today versus tomorrow, we will be on that success path. And that is what we as an organization, Accenture, is bringing to all of our clients. And Accenture LearnVantage is leading that pack for providing that right skill, providing that right bridge, that what should be the combination of reimagining of your job description. Like my friend was talking, Arif was talking about data engineer. What is expected out of a data engineer? You should be having these 20 things. You should be able to analyze this. You should be able to do this, and that's about it. But tell me now, Arif, with AI influence, how the job of your data engineer looks like is going to change.
He's more of a business person than ever, right? So I think that's right. Let me try and explain, give a very slightly different point of view, get the attention out of Razorpay and myself, right? So, you know, you go to any AI event and when there are thought leaders talking, they'll talk about the printing press, right? Any of you attended an AI event, they're talking about the printing press, what it did. What it did, essentially what they say is the information which was in the monastery with a few priests is now available to public and how it helped and all. So there's this lady, right? I think it was in the early 18th century. I don't remember the date. I think Elizabeth Einstein, sort of a philosopher, really like her. There's something very strange she noted, right? When the small printing press came in, okay, you know who used to hang around at the small printing press? So she observed something very unique. It was the scholars, it was the merchants, it was the craftsmen. So three very different skills which were very siloed earlier. They were the people who were at the small printing press having conversations together, very different skill sets, right? And then synthesizing. That synthesizing of skills, of different views is what we call polymath today, right? Who's a very well-known polymath today? Da Vinci, right? Da Vinci was just not an artist. He used to do many other things. He was a craftsman, he had blah, 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 and many other skills, right? And what it meant is they had very different skill sets coming together and they were able to explore and imagine so much more, as you said, right? The classical question we ask ourselves is, what will AI will do X, human will do Y. I don't think so there's a line and bifurcation in that. I think they'll partner. The question we have to ask ourselves as managers and leaders is, earlier you were managing a set of people, now you're managing a set of agents and people to synthesize together, and people's job in that will be to ask those questions where what computer to other computer can AI not think about and I can think about. I think that's the key. That's the key, all right? And if we don't solve for that, I think we are really going to be behind the race, right? So, look, the earlier, again, like people talk about the electric engine, steam engine, they talk about printing press, and we try to compare it, right? Because that's what we are as humans. We try to compare, go back in history. But there has never been a moment like AI like before, right? It can think for itself, right? An AI bot today is capable that if it gives you a piece of code, you don't accept the code. There's a case that has happened recently. It went out and made a public post about the technology guy, about the guy who was a coder, that this guy doesn't know what is code, right? So it is imagining, it's thinking, right? So this paradigm shift we've never been seen before. The closest that it comes, which we don't have a lot of history about, is when human beings started writing, right? That's the first time we started writing. I mean, if you go, and we don't have enough history and archives about it, right? This is the closest moment that comes to it. So this is going to be very different. I was part of the digital moment, right, in banks, right? I think we did it in like, what, 5 years. The best banks did it in 5 years. The slower banks did it probably in 10 years, right? We had a chance. We did incremental things. We never we used the word reimagine as a strategy conversation, but no one really reimagined, right? We just did delta increase. But now it's completely changing. I don't think we have the time, and I don't think we should get into a debate who does X and what does Y, right? I think we have to think as a polymath, and polymaths are the ones who will survive. And to be a polymath, you really don't need to be an AI guy, you don't need to be a technology guy, you just need to be a thinker who keeps asking himself a lot of questions and keeps rediscovering in this uncertain world that, hey, what am I supposed to do? I'm not a direct...
No, that's a great perspective, and thank you. And I'll just finish my thought on this thing. So just to getting anecdotal on that, right? So remember the Sony days, the Kodak days? Photography was a skill. Taking pictures was a skill. If I ask you today, how many photographers in this room? I think everybody will raise hand. Because it's part of your smartphone, and as smartphone owners, you all can click pictures, and you all click pictures. So all of you are photographers. You all are having a skill which was a distinct skill maybe 10 years ago when Kodak and Sony thought that nobody can replace us. So the point I was trying to derive at was that skill is evolving. And like he said, it's no longer one skill will make you survive, or one way of thinking, one way of processing information, one way of doing things will survive. Because AI is learning side by side what you're doing today. AI is in your phone today. They are learning everything, how you use your phone. What do you do in the morning? What do you do next? What do you do when you log in your office laptop? Like he was saying, his car is learning how he drives every morning to his office to Kormangla. Where does he stop? Where does he get paused? What time does he attend his meetings, etc. So AI is learning everything what we are trying to do. So how we will survive with AI is that we have to give them the next thing what they need to learn from us. And that's how we collaborate and we work together.
I wish I had slight inclination of AI when I was in class 10th and 12th and could have learned so quickly and possibly performed as well. No, great, wonderful.
You can always start.
That's a wonderful perspective. And before going to my last question to the panel, I would like to open it to the house because I think we're having some very interesting viewpoints here. So if anybody has any question, please feel free to come in here. Yeah.
Thank you for a very engaging session. And my name is, I think you would like me to introduce myself, Sunita Handa. I'm a techno banker. Many tech enterprises, the major ones, they have announced that they don't need coders anymore. Just a few years back, they were deploying them in thousands. Many law firms, they are saying that we don't need people who used to draft plaints or many jobs. Same way, the analysts, etc., these jobs are going. And where people, 1,000 people were there, now they need only 100, many of the firms. So when I wear my career counselor's hat for my child or say for any student, what do I say? Okay, don't become a coder, don't become a business analyst, don't become a risk this thing. So what, 4 or 5 careers you would suggest that I can say, okay, aim for this. So what new opportunities will come? I mean, apart from saying that become an AI creator, how many of them are needed, AI creators? So I think if each panelist, including the moderator, gives 2 suggestions, I'll have 8 careers to talk about. There.
You want me to go? So first of all, the lady who just stood up is an ex-SBI, and she led the digital banking in the largest public sector bank in the country. I thought we should come to you.
Thanks for recognizing.
So I can tell you from what I tell my kids, right? And my better half, much better half, she thinks differently from me. So right now she's winning, I'm not. But like I just tell the kids, just get the basic right, learn your values. I don't think we should be telling people what to choose as their careers, right? So the only thing I like to tell my kids is learn to deal with uncertainty, learn to deal with a whole lot of uncertainty, learn to live with anxiety, and keep understanding that things will keep changing. The only constant now is going to be solid change, right? So you have to just pull out your best survival instinct, right? It's unlike when we were trying to clear our graduation, post-graduation, software engineer, lawyer, medical, 5-6 choices. I think those days are gone behind us, right? So the way I look at it, right, there are 3, if you break down a career, maybe you know better, so there are these things which involve repetitive tasks, there are things that require cognitive tasks, and there is a creation side of it. Clearly, anything that is repetitive is going to go away. So I think that's where I tell the kid, hence, education is important, but education and value is important, right? Everything which is monastery information or institution information is going to be available to them, right? And they can validate and do that, right? So my suggestion would be hey, don't get stressed, because I don't get stressed about my kids anymore. Just let them deal with anxiety, right? That's about it. And that's the reality of today's life. I mean, that's the real world out there with all the geopolitics, everything that is going to happen. Will there be turmoil in the job market? Possibly, yes. But if they are creative enough, they'll find a way. And what that way is, I really don't have the answer, but that's the way it should be.
I'll attempt that. You know, I'm very happy that my kids have passed that age. I think more than what you learn, to build skills and ability to learn new things is more important. Problem solving across disciplines is something which will be very handy. You know, because we were in the past, we built our careers specializing in a very highly specialized, highly, you know, compartmentalized world. But today, value is created out of interdisciplinary, you know, working models. So, ability to work across domains and ability to solve problems, how to learn. If they learn how to learn, that would be more useful when they build careers. But I think as parents, perhaps we should start looking at their future not with the lens of the past as career. Because if we are extrapolating the past and visualize them doing the same thing in the future, it's tough. Because I don't think I can visualize someone working for 35 years in a same company or same industry, day after day doing, you know, linearly growing. That model is out, I guess.
I think my simple counsel will be, after 10 years, there will be no IT jobs. So don't waste your time in learning any programming language, any AI tool. There will be no jobs in the IT in 10 years. What you should counsel is learn about how AI to make work for you. AI can make money for you in a stock market. AI can do data analysis job for you. You need to set up 4, 5, 6 data models around you which are making money, the paper money for you, and you are actually engaged with a curious mind. Either you are educating or you are doing what you love doing. That would be my counsel.
Asking your kids to behave like bosses. Get agents to work for you.
Which course to pursue? What is the answer?
Please visit LearnVantage website.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so there's lot to explore online. Anybody else wants to? Yeah, please.
Yeah, my question is to all three of you. So I want to start by saying that
You're not very audible. Can you just?
Speak through it.
Okay. Am I audible now? Okay. Yeah. So my question is to all three of you. So there's currently like a race for what you can do in AI. There's companies shipping out MCPs and agentic workflows to streamline your processes. But there's also a growing concern for security because agentic workflows gives AI more autonomy. And more autonomy also means that it's efficient operations, but also at the same time you're compromising your security. What is your approach to like finding a balance between security and efficiency in your AI strategy?
The way I look at it, there's nothing wrong in being autonomous, right? The purpose of delegation is to be autonomous, and that's where you talk about trust architecture and design, right? I mean, you cannot, I'm guessing you're from the InfoSec world or leaning towards the InfoSec world as a career or whatever. You cannot have security as an afterthought, right? And that's where the human role is there, to think in the design stage. If you've thought through that, and UPI is a very great example in this country, right? Really thought through architecture and security by design. If you have that, and it's not on paper, it's in the actual architecture. That's what protects you, right? And that's the key. So not to be taken lightly. But the fundamental rule will always be in the world of agents that what is the role you do, what is the design you have on day one. Have you tried any payment agents?
Oh, yeah, I'm an active user of multiple LLMs. I've built wrappers in the past, yeah.
We'll chat offline.
Yeah.
So I will just add to your question just one point there. Look, at an enterprise level, the AI implementation is pretty slow. When I say that, there are a lot of guardrails. It is a controlled version. So in any big organization you will go, you will see an enterprise version of Copilot and you will see an open version of Copilot, which is out there. So what does this enterprise version really means? what it really means is it has got all the guardrails which as an enterprise, which as a regulatory body, the enterprise has to follow, have been instilled in the main LLM model itself, which is why you always see these enterprise versions which are running in large organizations. So it is pretty secured and pretty controlled.
I think what she said is true. At an enterprise level, it's highly guarded. You err on the other side. You know, you hold a bit of creativity in a large enterprise to govern the enterprise more. But when you are building a product which has agents with a build and buy strategy of agents, then you need to really have a design for security at a very early stage. Now, it is very contextual. You know, what kind of applications you build, how mission critical it is, and how safety relevant it is. I think that's what matters when you use the agents. I would choose my criteria very carefully, depending on the context.
Yeah, I agree. And I think from the onset, while building itself, you need to consider all of these things.
Industry standards for that matter, right?
There needs to be a stack, and that needs to be followed very religiously to scale responsibly.
I think we're almost on the top of the hour. Can we take one last question?
I think he has been raising
Okay, yeah. Just last one for the day.
Yeah, take this.
Sorry.
Hello. Yeah, am I audible? Yeah, thank you for a very enlightening talk. So, my name is Rahul Kisku. Am I audible now? Yeah. So, my name is Rahul Kisku. I'm from construction background. So, now I'm going through the entire expo and attending some talks. I can fairly see the penetration has been quite a lot compared to what is happening in my industry. So now with the advent of AI, it risks of getting overtaken a little more. And why I say this is because our use cases are, and probably it changes in real time very often. So we work with stakeholders, I mean, very frequently. We work with the municipal governments, and we work with vendors, subcontractors, everything. And the situation changes like anything. So now, since it's a very complex use case or complex solution that we have to provide in a project scenario. Now, how do you think we should navigate and leverage this AI to, easing out the workflows or making decisions? Because I say, I'll give you a real-time example. I had to go through hundreds of mail to understand which is my requirement, where should I give approvals, and to at least get the trail of thought, what specifications are being asked for, and is this the correct one that my clients requires it right now? Because the clients also changes scope frequently, and that is because the real world also changes quite frequently. Now, in this sort of a situation where the use case or where the ask is quite fleeting, kind of like you're targeting a fleeting target, how do you think we should navigate this AI?
Your question seemed to be more like an explanation, but anyway. So, I don't know about my co-panelists, but since you were looking at me, then I'm not from the construction industry myself. But I could just imagine a few...
You're the smartest of all.
No, I'm just unlearning a lot many things, right? I mean, like, you look at it, right? So there's some construction happening. I mean, you can observe construction all over Bombay. I don't know about Delhi that much. But one of the things that I see, because there's a metro coming up next to my house, that looks like someone who's a supervisor. He comes at around 10:30. There's a bunch of guys who are, different kind of labors, different things. They wait for him to turn up at 10:30. And turn by turn, he gives them instructions what to do. Right? And I see them spending at least 1 hour over there. I have a very simple question because they're from the industry. When a labor turns up, and he usually turns up at 9:45 because the Babu supervisor turns up at 10:30, why doesn't he know beforehand what he has to do when? Correct? I actually tried asking this to them because they need to know I have to go to the third floor and put what they call plinth. I don't know, whatever that means. One guy has to go somewhere and put some fabrication of some windows or something like that. I'm just making this up on the fly, right? They don't seem to have that. They rely on the supervisor to come, who has a mental map, who will do what, because he's doing delegation of responsibility and orchestration, right? Who will do that? There's a lot of time and effort, energy just wasted on that. Right? I mean, if you could just pick that up, right? And I don't even know whether you really need AI for it, but if you could just automate that, how much time and energy will you spend on that, right? That's one. Second, how do you pay people? You pay people on events, right? They've completed a task, they've not completed a task, right? I think some of these things are the easier ones. Maybe you should just get Claude or something, ask them a bit of questions, and we'll tell you what to do next. But, I mean, I think we can't say that because it's very complex, AI cannot play a role. Probably it's a lot of complexity because of repetitive work. Because this supervisor in my mind is doing very repetitive work. He's just issuing instructions. He's not really doing a very creative thinking. He's not the architect design of how the building should look, right? So in my view, just because it's a physical world and assuming that AI cannot do a lot of role over there, answer is no, it is. Maybe the physical labor part of it, robots and all coming in, that could take a little more time, and I think Bosch would probably be the best people to answer that question, right?
Are we selling robots now?
No, that was a good leg glance towards me. Yeah, I mean, any industry, you need to look at the value stream, and you need to look, because AI implementation is expensive, figure out feasibility versus, what solves in that value stream, and pick those which are of high impact and high feasibility, and solve that first. As he said, there are a lot of low-hanging topics done extremely manually throughout the value stream of some of these industries. And I think there are many of low-hanging topics which you can automate using readily available AI solutions at a planning stage, material selection side, labor planning, labor payments, project planning, etc. So while your question is very vast, so the answer is also a bit generic.
I'm itching, sorry, I will just say one thing. Are you angry with AI? Why it is late in your industry?
No, actually I'm not angry. Actually, in fact, my company is in India one of the leading implementer of digitization, whatever is happening in the construction space right now, but I'm still not content with what we have achieved with it right now. So I'm just picking your brains just to, is there anything that we can do more about it?
I think, as both the gentlemen said, it has got absolute innumerable use cases to solve. But where do you start? You start with the most dynamic use case, like you gave the email example, just to be on top of your requirements. You can absolutely use an AI engine running on your emails to give you a day-wise summary every morning, which are your top 5 things you need to solve for, and what is the last information you've received from client or from your lead engineer or whoever, which is the last information, and synthesize it for me to be able to give it to my project team, to my sales team, to this team and that team. So all of this thing can be easily synthesized by an AI engine for you, and you can be just going in the action mode, and the AI can do all the research and analysis for you. That is a starting point.
I'll just add, when all this gyan that we gave you and doesn't work, don't worry, come to Razorpay. We do escrow management for construction and building properties to manage your workflows in terms of your cash flows, and we really do a great job of it. And it's got AI behind, you don't need to worry about it. So Suraj, you've got a lead now, okay?
So one great learning is that you definitely have to be your brand evangelist. Super. Thank you so much for an interesting conversation.
Thank you so much.
Love
Thank you,
having
audience.
Thank
You were
so
great.
much, everybody.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Swati. Thanks, Arif. Thanks, Dattatreya. And thanks, Deepika, for moderating these 2 sessions. So at the end of the day today, we have established that the AI economy will not only be powered by technology or talent alone, it will be both. We had back-to-back 2 sessions, while one panel focused on enterprise, work systems, leadership, and talent architecture. The other panel focused on institutions and education systems, talent creations at scale, and future employability pipelines. Just to remind you, we are at hall number 6, where you can visit us again. We are the talent creators. We are Accenture LearnVantage. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.